You're watching BCTV. We're all about Branford. You're watching BCTV, Branford Government Television, a service of Branford Community Television. This program is brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Branford.
3 weeks. I got nervous for you. It's like, wait, 2 weeks?
I do need this.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. The April 23rd, October 23rd, 2024 special meeting of the RTM is called to order at 8:04 p.m. Let's please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Toohill, will you call the roll?
Representative Adams.
Here.
Representative Edelman.
Here.
Representative Alphone.
Here.
Representative Amore.
Here.
Representative Anderson. Absent. Representative Black. Absent. Representative Bonenberger.
Here.
Representative Brooks.
Sir, yes, sir.
Representative Dayhill.
Here.
Representative Everson.
Here.
Representative Greenberg. Absent. Representative Hartwell.
Here.
Representative Henschel.
Here.
Representative Hines.
Here.
Representative Ingraham.
Here.
Representative Keefe. Absent. Representative Leach. Absent. Representative Larson.
Present.
Representative Lafredo. Absent. Representative Maresca. Absent. Representative McCall.
Here.
Representative McCormick.
Here.
Representative Nupani.
Here.
Representative Papalizio.
Here.
Representative Sharkey.
Here.
Representative Shrestha.
Here.
Representative Sumro.
Here.
Representative Toohill's here. Representative Verderam.
Here.
And Representative Waterman. Absent. We have a quorum, Madam Moderator.
Thank you,
Welcome.
Mr. Toohill. Okay, a couple of announcements. This is a special meeting, which means we won't be reading the minutes. Oh. Ex officio. Ex officio, Lisa Arpin.
Ex officios present, I see Town Clerk Lisa Arpin with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. This is a special meeting, so we won't be reading the minutes of the September 11th meeting. That will be taken up and approved next meeting, which is November 13th. Speaking of the November 13th RTM meeting, just for the room and for the public, as of November 6th, or after November 5th, public meetings that are typically held in this room will be held for several months at the Branford Community House because of the renovations to the police station. Operations will be set up in here, and we will be moving our community meetings to the community house. So just keep that in mind and change your calendars if you have a location set. Before we move on, I would like the body to take a moment of silence in memory of Victor Casella. Victor was a much beloved and very dedicated community leader, businessman, friend of all of us who work hard in the political spheres, a longtime member of the Board of Finance, and we will miss him. I'll call for a moment of silence. Thank you. I am not in receipt of any communications or reports or petitions, so we will move on to item 5, to discuss ARPA and contingency appropriations, and if appropriate, consider the following transfers and resolutions. ARPA Fund Fiscal 25 Resolution and Transfer. Resolved that the RTM considers and if appropriate, approve an increase in the ARPA Fund budget from $7,710,500 to $8,185,500. This appropriation will be used to fund a grant to the Corcoran-Sundquist Post 83 of the American Legion. This transfer appropriates the grants while also transferring funds to the fueling station project. Increase a fund balance transfer of $475,000 and an increase for the American Legion Post 83 of $50,000 and a transfer out of the Municipal Facilities Fund of $425,000 for the equivalent amount of $475,000. A general fund fiscal 24 transfer. This transfer moves contingency dollars into the fueling station project from contingency $275,000 to transfer out Municipal Facilities Fund $275,000. And then the Municipal Facilities Fund fiscal 24 transfer. This transfer reflects the changes in the fueling station project's revenue sources by reducing the bond authorization and replacing it with the funds that are transferred in pursuant to the previous transfers. From bond proceeds, $700,000, to a transfer in of $700,000, an equivalent amount. This was heard by Ways and Means, so I'll ask Representative Hartwell to give the report.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. So this was heard at our special meeting on October 7th. All of our representatives were present. The first piece there, the $50,000 was requested by the American Legion to offset revenue loss that had happened during the COVID period. It's from ARPA funds. And the reason why they were going to the Board of Finance directly is because, as they admitted, they missed the deadline to be included in the earlier operation that had gone through the Branford Community Foundation, where nonprofits like the American Legion were considered for grants that would assist them to help offset revenue that they had lost during that period. So we were told that had this gone through the regular process, it most certainly would have been approved. We approved it as well. And all of the votes that we took that evening were roll call votes because we held the meeting by Zoom. So that was there. That primarily we were talked to about that by Mr. Finch, the finance director. Then the movement of the other two amounts essentially put $700,000 into the Municipal Facilities Fund in order to offset bonding that was already approved last year for the
fueling station.
Thank you, fueling station. Yeah, got it. I wasn't here at the time, but yes. And that was originally approved at $1 million. So the $700,000 is going to offset that, and we're only going to be bonding for $300,000 for that project. And so that was also approved by our committee on a unanimous vote done by having a person-by-person vote, a roll call vote. So.
You put that in the form of a motion?
Yes, I put that in the form of a motion.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to take the questions. I didn't announce it first, but tonight I will like to hear questions and comments first from the RTM and then from the public on this matter. So are there any questions or comments for Representative Hartwell on this motion? RTM? None? Okay. Anybody from the public? No? Okay, hearing no requests for information, we will put the matter to a vote. Be a voice vote, I believe. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The matter carries. Thank you very much. Okay. Item 6 on the agenda, to consider and if appropriate, approve the following transfer requests from the fire department. Transfer to hire additional EMTs for fiscal '25. That's currently our fiscal year. From contingency for fire, $517,623. To Social Security, $19,147. Retirement municipal employees, $220,773. Transfer out workers' compensation, $57,383. Health insurance, $220,320, for a total equivalent amount of $517,623. Additional funding to offset budget cuts to the fire apparatus fund for fiscal '24 from contingency. Should we take these one transfer at a time?
We
No,
voted on them
you
collectively.
divided- okay,
and
thank
that's how
you.
they were.
Okay, very
Yeah.
good. Contingency, $500,000 to transfer out fire apparatus fund for an equivalent amount of $500,000. Attending funding, additional funding to offset a shortfall in the ambulance replacement fund for fiscal '24 from contingency, $15,000, to transfer out ambulance fund an equivalent amount of $15,000. This was heard by Public Services. Representative Bonenberger, would you give the report, please?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. That's right. The Public Service Committee met early October. I believe it was October 3rd. It was a little while ago. 6 were present, and we unanimously, after some discussion, elected to approve these item number 6, which is 3 separate items. And I'll just sort of tackle them really briefly, collectively, and then we can vote on them collectively. So the first thing, the contingency, from contingency fire, the $500,000, that is actually tied to item 7 too. It's the first part of the contract that is obliged to hire 16 new EMTs, and that chunk of it takes care of certain obligations that are required as part of the contract. That's the $517,000 part, and we'll tackle the rest of the EMT hire in item number 7. The transfer out fire apparatus, $500,000 to help us, pay for new fire trucks in manageable chunks. Something that I learned recently is the price of fire trucks has been going up really across the country. I was a little bit curious about it because I was like, okay, why are fire trucks suddenly $2 million when they used to be $500,000? I mean, inflation is one thing, but at $1.5 million, it's got to be something else. And it turns out that there's been a huge wave of consolidation in the past 10 years among these little, what used to be family-owned businesses cranking out fire apparatuses. And so they're owned by just a few companies now that have kind of bought up a lot of them. What happens when a big company buys up smaller companies usually is that they got to make their money back. So they bought these things up and they're trying to recoup their costs. So that is an explanation for why we have to pay a great deal of money for our fire apparatuses. Nothing we can do about it. And then the third part is the ambulance fund, $15,000. The fire department gets a lot of calls for their ambulances. They've been riding them in the streets and responding to emergency calls, a bit more than they'd anticipated. That's what the $15,000 is for. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I put you in the form of a motion.
Okay, thank you very much. Do I hear any questions from the RTM? Comments or requests for clarification? Okay, none? From the public, such as you are? Okay, hearing none, we will put this matter to a vote. This will be a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? The motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay. Item 7, to consider and if appropriate, approve a request from the Board of Fire Commissioners for the following fiscal '25 transfer. Again, that's this fiscal year. From contingency for $1,320,481 to Regular wages and salaries, $959,009. Overtime, $96,000. Vacation, $96,768. Holiday pay, $91,392. Replacement of sick pay, of sick workers, $64,512. Uniform and clothing allowance, $12,800, for a total and equivalent amount of $1,320,481. Also heard by Public Services, Representative Bonenberger. The
Thank you,
floor is
Madam.
yours.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Public Services met, same meeting, October 3rd, I believe it was, and discussed item number 7, which, again, like item number 6, this $1.3 million is part of the contract to hire 16 new EMTs. And if the total $1.3 million, together with $500,000 earlier, $1.8 million, seems like a lot. It is a lot. It's necessary. The town will get some of that money back. It is, the contract is required to be fully funded. It is November now, so we're actually only going to end up paying out part of that contract because the fiscal year will end for us in June. So slightly smaller number than what you see before you, but we must fully fund it. I put that in the form of a motion.
Okay, are there any questions from the RTM or comments on item 8? Item 7. I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. On item 7. Okay. None? Yes.
Yes.
Representative Everson.
I think it's important, thank you, to point out that with this vote in the middle of our budget year, we will be agreeing to make a significant investment in public safety in Branford. This is at the request of the fire department and the fire commissioner and was passed by the Board of Finance. The fire department's now going to be able to hire 16 EMTs to meet the growing demands for emergency medical service in our town. And this will expand the fire department's personnel from now on and their budget. So next year, we will, of course, see an increase in the fire department budget to pay for these new personnel and the shift in the way that our fire department operates. So I will be voting in favor of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments, questions? You want to miss anybody? No? Okay. Anybody from the public? Okay. Hearing none, we'll put the matter to a vote. All in favor of this transfer, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 8, to consider and if appropriate, approve the following funding request pursuant to the Recreation Department's required repairs at Veterans Memorial Park and Foot Memorial Park repairs. From the general fund contingency, $70,000, to transfer out for capital projects, $70,000. And from Fund 700, a transfer in of $70,000 and capital out, a transfer, and an increase in the capital outlay improvements of $70,000. Closeout project 18503, emergency performance contract, fiscal 25. The RTM will consider and if appropriate, approve the following resolution. Resolved that the project 18503 energy conservation be closed out and all surplus funds remaining in the project be returned to the general fund. This was heard by Ways and Means. Representative Hartwell.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. So Parks and Rec Director Pelosi came and talked to us about this project. Basically, there was a lot of wiring that needed to be fixed at Foot Park, some of which had been buried in the ground just as wire buried in the ground, to be pulled up and put into conduits. There's also a lot of lighting going on at Veterans Park, around the parking lot and the tennis courts. So this 70,000 is one number for the entire project. It's not 70 here and 70 there. It's 70,000 in total. and it was approved unanimously on a roll call vote at our October 7th meeting.
Say it again, I'm sorry.
It was approved unanimously by roll call vote at our October 7th meeting.
Okay. Is this
And
required?
I put this in the form of a
Okay,
resolution.
thank you very much. Okay. Are there comments or questions about this transfer, on this project? From the public? Yes, Representative Adams.
Alex, is this through you to Alex?
Sure.
Is this finally lighting the pickleball courts? The pickleball courts? The lighting, the conduit, the wiring, is this fixing the lighting to the pickleball courts? Foot. Hallelujah.
Okay.
Has anyone else been grabbed by irate pickleball people?
Okay, that was great. Any other comments or questions? Okay, I don't believe we need a roll call vote on this, so we will hear it by voice. All in favor of this transfer, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, item 9, to consider and if appropriate, approve the following transfer from the Finance Director as follows. Fiscal services for fiscal '24 from contingency, $5,984, to overtime for an equivalent amount of $5,984. This was heard by Ways and Means. Representative Hartwell.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. So, yes, Mr. Finch explained that as part of the audit process and the overtime that was required to get it done, both, I think, in the tax collector's office and then subsequently in the Board of Ed, there was a lot of extra time that was required. The person who accrued that extra time is under contract, as part of the employment contract, can't get time off, compensatory time off, but was not available to take that because of other obligations to the town, and therefore this was made to be an overtime payment directly. And again, it was considered and approved unanimously in a roll call vote on the 7th of October, and I put this in the mood of a motion.
Yay! Third time's a charm. Okay. Okay. Are there any other comments or questions on this transfer? Anybody? Public? Okay. Hearing none, we will call for a voice vote. All in favor of this transfer, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay, item 10, to consider and if appropriate, approve a transfer from the town clerk for the fiscal '24 legislative budget. From legislative update law ordinances, $600, and town clerk advertising printing, $570, for a total of $1,170, to legislative advertising, an equivalent amount of $1,170. This was not heard in administrative services, so we're going to hear it on the floor, which calls for a motion to suspend Rule 441, so we can discuss it on the floor. Do I hear a motion? So moved. Representative Hartwell, do I have a second? I'll second. You'll second. Okay. Okay, so all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? No. Okay. So we have suspended Rule 441. Mr. Edelman, would you like to take this up?
Certainly. This was the only item that was scheduled for admin services. As you can see, it's quite self-explanatory and simple, so the committee decided to not have a meeting for the sole purpose. But in essence, it's just an inter-office reallocation of department money along the terms of what the moderator just stated, $600 from legislative update law ordinances and town clerk advertising and printing, $570 totaling $1170, and that money will be put towards the legislative and advertising for the same amount of $1,170. Quite simple. I would put that in the form of a motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments Oh,
Need a second.
A second for
A committee
because
report?
It wasn't a committee report. It's not a committee report. Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second. Thank you. Okay, we have a motion. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries for the transfer. Thank you very much. Okay, item 11, to consider and if appropriate, create an ordinance protecting licensed home daycare providers from restrictive HOA bylaws. Representative Henschel, Arno.
Yes, thank you, Madam Moderator. So the Rules and Ordinance Committee actually met twice between the last RTM meeting and this RTM meeting. This item was heard in the September 17 meeting. In that meeting, I had requested from the town attorney an opinion, which he rendered, and I submitted to the committee. It was his opinion that this legislation was not necessary because it was already stipulated by state statute. The person that had proposed that we look at this was at the meeting and acknowledged the fact that they had a different opinion from the attorneys they had been working with. So what the committee decided was, rather than to take no action, which would have been the normal case, we agreed to re-refer it to allow them to come back to us with further opinion from their attorneys, so that we wouldn't have to start the process anew. So the committee voted unanimously to re-refer this, and I put that in the form of a motion.
Okay. Thank you very much. Are there any comments or questions for Representative Henschel? Okay, all those in favor of re-referring this matter, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the matter is re-referred. Thank you very much. Item 12, to consider and if appropriate, create an ordinance to establish a harbor management commission pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes 22A-113K. Representative Henschel.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Again, Rules and Ordinance heard this in our both of the past meetings on 9/17 and on 10/15. On 10/15, we had a focused meeting on this particular topic, and it had invited in members, specifically members of the public that were stakeholders in this endeavor, to come and comment, and we outlined the process that the committee would be taking to further review and develop an ordinance. That meeting was fairly well attended. Everybody in the meeting that did attend seemed to be in favor of moving forward with the development of an ordinance, so the committee decided to unanimously recommend that we re-refer this item to our next meeting, and I put that in the form of a motion.
All right, we have a committee report. Any questions or comments? None? Then we will have a vote to re-refer this matter to Rules and Ordinances. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the matter is re-referred. Thank you very much. Item 13, to consider and if appropriate, create an ordinance which will encode reasonable restrictions on short-term rentals in Branford. Representative Henschel.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Again, this item was heard in both meetings of Rules and Ordinance on 9/17 and 10/15. In both of those meetings, we acknowledged that the working group working on the ordinance had acknowledged that we had put out a survey to the community, which was just closed on, I believe, October 10th. Therefore, in the first meeting, we agreed to re-refer this to the second meeting, and in the second meeting, we agreed to re-refer it once again. Just as a matter of information, the survey was substantially responded to. We had over 500 responses, which is truly extraordinary for this type of survey. We did post in our meeting notes of this past meeting, and they can be reviewed, summary results from the survey. They haven't been looked at in detail or parsed yet, but the summary results are available to the public. in our meeting minutes from this 10:15 meeting if members of the public wish to review them. The committee, in addition to requesting that we refer this, agreed that we would focus our next meeting in November on this particular ordinance. And at that meeting, the hope is that the working group will be able to have looked in detail at the survey results and be able to report to the committee on what the general community feeling was with some detail and then further discussion. So again, this is a re-referral, and I put that in the form of a motion.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have a motion to re-refer. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor of re-referring this item to Rules and Ordinances, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The matter is re-referred. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to item 14, a call for adjournment. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll see you in 3 weeks at the Community House.
This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Branford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BranfordTV.org.